Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be going over my preview and predictions for the quarterfinals of League's Cup. As we all know, this is huge because CONCACAF Champions Cup spots are on the line. And as we all remember, MLS teams tend to reach the semifinals and get these CONCACAF Champions Cup spots. So it's really huge just to have more MLS teams competing. So, what are the games? So, the games on this one is going to be Seattle Sounders versus Puebla, Inter Miami versus Tigres, LA Galaxy versus Pachuca, and Toluca versus Orlando City. So, we're going to be previewing each of these games to predict who will be advancing to the semifinals. So, let's get on with the video. Before we continue, I'd like to tell you guys to like and subscribe because it's very important that you guys like and subscribe so you guys can never miss another video. And also, please follow my other socials. The links are in the description below. Let's start off by previewing the Seattle Sounders versus Puebla game. This game will take place in Newman Field, so Seattle Sounders will have the advantage of being the home side. Puebla is obviously at a disadvantage considering they have to travel from Puebla is near Mexico City, so they have to travel from there all the way to Seattle. So that's going to be a big disadvantage for them. And Puebla is also not a very good Liga MX team. They always finish outside of the Liguilla, which is basically like the playoffs. And they are one of the cheaper rosters in Liga MX, so they're not very good. My prediction is that the Seattle Sounders, although they haven't been very good this season, but in the League's Cup they have at least looked decent, especially at the start of that Cruz Azul game where they won 7-0. But I do think that the Seattle Sounders will win, but it's not obviously going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win for the Seattle Sounders. Next game I'll talk about is going to be LA Galaxy versus Pachuca. Pachuca have been really hot to start off the year. They're first in Liga MX up until this point. From 5 games, they won 4 and only lost 1. They made a notable signing in William Carvalho at the start of the season, and they also lost a couple of pieces. Most notably, they lost their star striker from last season, Salomon Rondon. The Venezuelan has left to Spain, so it's going to be a very big loss in firepower for this season for this Pachuca side. But they also have other players stepping up, most notably Elias Montiel, who is a U20 Mexican that came from their academy. He's a player to watch for this game. Next, we're going with the LA Galaxy. The LA Galaxy have been terrible this season in MLS. Offensively, we all expected them to take a step up, but they managed to take a step down. Their dynamic duo and Gabriel Peck and Joseph Painsil, they're shadows of what they were last season. And then defensively, they've been Swiss cheese. They've been horrific defensively. At least in League's Cup, they managed to turn it up a bit. They started off by beating Tijuana 5-2, and then they drew Cruz Azul 1-1, although they lost on penalties. And then in their last game of the first phase, they beat Santos 4-0. So at least for League's Cup, they haven't looked bad, especially offensively. They managed to score goals, and I'm expecting for this game to also for the LA Galaxy to score some goals for this game. I'm expecting the LA Galaxy to beat Pachuca 3-2. Next, we're going to be covering Orlando City versus Toluca. Starting off with Toluca, the reigning champions of Liga MX, they have some notable players. They have a pretty great side for CONCACAF standards, just saying. Starting off with their striker, Paulinho, he's very clinical, and to pair up with him, they got Alexis Vega, who, although he never turns up from Mexico, but for Toluca, he always plays great. And they got a couple of other guys. Helinho, the player they signed from Brazil, although people were calling him disappointing last season, but to start off this season, Helinho has looked amazing. And obviously, they got Marcel Ruiz, who we got to see him playing against us in the final of the Gold Cup. He got an assist, so he played pretty great in that final. So they got some notable names, Toluca, and with Orlando City, obviously they have some talent too. Martin Ojeda, who is an MVP candidate for this season, and obviously they got a couple of other guys like Alex Freeman, who has been a revelation this season for them. So they got some talent too. I'm expecting this to be one of the more entertaining games of the quarterfinals, and I'm expecting Toluca to pull through 3-2. The last game I'll be previewing is going to be Inter Miami versus Tigres. This is going to be the most anticipated game of the quarterfinals. Starting with Tigres, Tigres are a team with a lot of high profile names. They are a very good side. But with their high profile names, obviously they got those guys that helped them reach the finals of Copa Libertadores and Club World Cup, like Gignac and Nahuel, who we all know pulls a show during games. Nahuel, and obviously they have other guys like Brunetta, and obviously they have just their recent signing Angel Correa. So he's going to be the player to watch, Angel Correa, who just came from Atletico and has been playing very good in this league's cup run for Tigres. And obviously, they have other guys who are playing pretty good this season, like Diego Lainez and OCL Herrera. And for Inter Miami, of course, they're going to be having those international names. Lionel Messi, who's coming back from injury, Luis Suarez, Rodrigo de Paul, their new summer signing, Sergio Busquets, and Jordi Alba, alongside with complementary pieces like Yannick Bright, who has been pretty good so far this season. He has been a complementary piece in this midfield for Inter Miami. Segovia, who can have a pretty good game for himself. So both teams have talent on paper, and I do think Inter Miami are going to have an advantage in this game outside of just being the home side. They're in season, and Tigres just started their season, so I do think Inter Miami have a pretty big advantage on Tigres, and I think that'll be enough to pull them through to a victory. I think Inter Miami, I do favor them winning 2-1. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.